I'm addicted to walking in video games. There's just this special feeling I get. I know that sounds stupid, but it's true. Most of the time, we as the players want to be moving through the games we're playing about as fast as possible, which is fair. Something like a Red Dead Redemption 2 is a masterfully written action adventure, or Cyberpunk is a masterfully written action. Okay, never mind. You get it. My point is, in most games, you got better shit to do than just walk around. There's people to shoot, allies to double cross, people to crucify.
Do you not fear God?
But after all is said and done, your main quest complete and nothing left really to do, why not just walk? No, seriously, if you're someone who catches yourself rushing through games or sprinting to every objective, I earnestly recommend just walking around. There's so many little details you'll start to catch. The wagons picking up mud, the hand-painted signage on stores, even NPCs going about their daily routines. You can follow them around and shit. Matter of fact, just go pick a guy in Red Dead 2. Follow him around for a bit.
Watch where you're going.
Okay, fine, fuck that guy. Pick a mountain instead. Notice the trees, the water, the clouds. I've spent hours in Red Dead Online just wandering its snowy hills, its forests, its valleys. Sure, I'll get drawn to these places because of an animal I'm hunting or a side quest I'm doing, but pretty soon, I'm just walking with no goal other than the ones I set for myself. It makes me think, I wonder, what if there was a game just about walking? So, where did that name even come from? Strand type. What the fuck? Well, for that you can blame this man, Hideo Kojima. We cherish this man, this odd, freaky little man. His story as a creative is extremely interesting in itself, but for now I'll just give you the basics. After getting fired from a company he worked at for decades, Kojima created his own studio, where nobody could tell him no. With his newfound freedom, in his new studio, humbly named Kojima Productions, he wanted to do something different, something unconventional, something like Death Stranding. So, what was the pitch? What made it so unconventional? It was just walking. But it was walking with the twist. The twist was packages. Yep, that's it. You're a delivery guy. Now, the Death Stranding fans out there are upset. I didn't even mention their Cthulhu tar goblins or their test tube babies. And those all exist, and they're all great. But for most intents and purposes, there we have it, right? That's the answer. A cool guy made a game about walking, and it was just so cool and so awesome that from here on out, every game that's about walking is going to be called a Strand type. Yes. But it's not quite the whole story. In fact, I think it's missing a key aspect of what makes the Strand type even Strandy at all. You see, I don't believe Strand type games are walking simulators. Neither did Hideo Kojima. If he did, he would have said as much. Instead, at the Tokyo Game Show in 2016, when first revealing Death Stranding, he gave a speech describing his team's vision. He tells an analogy of the stick and the rope, derived from a short story by Kobo a Bee. The stick and the rope, as told by a bee, are, quote, humanity's oldest known tools. The stick for keeping the bad away, and the rope for keeping the good close. Kojima goes on to describe modern multiplayer gaming as being almost entirely stick-based. What that means is they're games about challenging others, about pushing others. Shooters, sports, RTS, card games, social games, even fucking Jackbox. Basically everything in the multiplayer space is built upon one player being put down in order for another player to prosper. You want to be on the top of the leaderboard? Someone's got a bottom frag. You want to rank up? Other teams got to rank down.
I'm a pussy that use riot shield.
This concept, this framework, is exactly what Kojima Productions was trying to challenge with Death Stranding. Can you make a fun online gameplay foundation where players actually lift each other up rather than pushing each other down? Can you make a game based around the rope? I wasn't kidding. In Death Stranding, you spend all of your time delivering packages. There are minor moments of frantic action when encountering the raiders, mules, or thoughtful stealth when avoiding the ghostly BTs, but you'll never not be on your way to or in the middle of a delivery. This is the first major step in how Kojima Productions achieves their unique vision. They redirect the player's focus. Death, ironically enough here, doesn't really pose much of a threat. Our main character, Sam, is an absolute beast. He's got drop kicks, flying knees, poop grenades. The man is unstoppable. So with all these combat options, why not just run through every little combat you see and just drop kick everyone? Because now you ruined your pizza. Good fucking going, asshole. You just wasted the last 20 minutes it spent to get here because you wanted to drop kick someone while delivering a goddamn pizza. Is this frustrating when it happens to you? Yes. Will it? Probably. The drop kicks are awesome. But when it does, you learn something. You stop to focus on your health bar and your damage like every game has conditioned you to do forever. And you start paying attention to your package's actual conditions. How banged up it is, how rusted the rains made it, how fresh the pizza's cheese is. All of these factors matter way more in Death Stranding than clearing out a camp or getting kills. In fact, if you do kill another NPC, even an enemy, something unlike any other game I've ever played starts to happen. The body doesn't start to decompose. It starts to implode. Once those eyes go cold, a timer starts. You have about 30 minutes to drop everything you're doing and hike that corpse up to an incinerator. And if you don't, sorry, evil Cthulhu nuke, I don't know what to tell you. Moral of the story, just don't kill people. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources, and 9 times out of 10, it'll send you back to the very start of whatever delivery you were just in the middle of.
Good morning, Sam.
You kind of stop thinking about the mules in Death Stranding as video game enemies, and instead like world obstacles. They don't damage check Sam. Instead, their bases are placed strategically throughout the map to give you something to contend with along your routes. You have to find your way around or through or over these bases the same way you would a hill or a cliff. With all these wildly creative remixes on open-world gameplay formulas we've been playing for years, it redirects our focus in a very special way and opens itself up to become one of the most immersive games I've ever played. It's truly a game about planning than executing. It's a game that knows every journey is far more important than any destination. So then where's the rope? We made this whole big deal about how Strand type isn't just walking, right? And then I just go on to describe complicated walking. So what's the rope? Are the packages the rope? That's just like the goal. Every game has a goal. What the fuck are we doing here? Thank you for asking. Dick. I wouldn't say that the deliveries in this game are the rope we're looking for. Rather, I think the missions, the package conditions, the raiders, the ghosts, the slippery cliffs themselves, these are Death Stranding's version of the stick. There are elements of the gameplay that cause friction for the player, forcing them to work around and overcome the situation in order to succeed. The rope, however, comes almost entirely from Death Stranding's online component. By online, I don't mean multiplayer. Not really. Death Stranding is a single-player game. At 0 point will you ever see another player. However, as you progress the story and Sam starts to link bases across America to this mysterious chiral network, you, the player, start to link your own world, one connected to other players. You're not seeing them walk around the world with you, but you see evidence of their existence. Bridges and zip lines start popping up over mountains and creeks you've never built on. You'll find ladders and ropes, creating whole new paths in the rocky terrain. And too many times to count, you'll find yourself in a situation like this. Out of batteries, stuck on a hill, hurt beyond belief. Whatever it may be, this is it. Then, somehow, a random player will save you. Maybe it's a rope that gives you a quick escape, or a ladder left behind when you were fresh out. Whatever it was, you'll never get the chance to thank them, and they'll never know how they helped you, or even if they did. Yet, for some reason, they still placed that ladder, or built that bridge, or paved those roads. Whatever their reasons were, they still did it. When this happens to you on your first playthrough, and it won't take long, something clicks. All of those extrinsic motivators of modern video games get tossed out the window. You forget about all the XP you've ever grinded for, every mission marker you've ever followed, all the hours you spent in altars of sorrow, praying this next scorch fuck will draft a craftable Ostringer, I'm sorry, no more Destiny, and all you can think about now is this, these tangible impacts on gameplay. You don't really feel when the XP bar goes up, or when the new gun drops. Not in the same way you feel the bridge beneath your feet, gracefully taking you across a rushing river. The way you feel that zipline flying you and your packages through the previously treacherous mountains. The way you feel the paved roads built by you and your fellow porters as you drive your newly minted delivery truck to its next station. This right here, this is Strand. So why the fuck is this it? Even Death Stranding 2 seems so lost in the idea of making a bigger, more fun game that it loses all of the tension that held the first together so well. Death Stranding 2, I anticipated, would be Kojima's next big swing at these Strand-type systems. Instead, they made a not-so-masterfully written action-adventure, and it blows. The competition is stiff out here, guys.
I saw a corpse strip farmers of water, and eventually of land. Saw them transform Night City into a machine fueled by people's crushed spirits, broken dreams, and emptied pockets.
I really do need to cut myself off with the Death Stranding 2 talk because I could go forever. I bring it up because I think it shows exactly how AAA developers are seeing this baby subgenre we call Strand. Even the pioneers, even Hideo Kojima, who gave a speech declaring this as the future of gaming, seems so uninterested in taking it much farther than they already have. As far as AAA gaming is concerned, I think Death Stranding, the first one, is, and may very well stay, the only Strand-type game we'll see. Yet, there is still hope. Sure, when looking hyper-specifically at the AAA landscape, it looks dire.
No rest for the wicked.
There's no signs of a game like Death Stranding on the horizon from any major players in the industry. No spin-offs from PlayStation, no Strand like Zelda. Xbox only got their port of the first game last year.
Yeah, well, idle hands and all that.
Is there a publisher out there pumping a cool $250 million to some wacko creative to make the next Strand type? No. Does this make me salty as someone who sees this little genre as a genuine evolution in modern gaming? Yes, of course. However, has gaming as a whole seen an impact from Death Stranding? From the Strand-like as a whole? I would say yes. Definitely. And as per usual with the games industry, we can't rely on AAA to push the innovation anyway. Remember, Death Stranding itself started as an indie game technically, before being backed by PlayStation. An indie game with a AAA-sized development team, but, you know, my point still kind of stands. Hideo Kojima needed to be at a point in his career where he could really get away with anything in the game design space in order to make something as weird as he did. So, let's not look to AAA. Not just because there's nothing to see, but because whatever would be there would just be a hollow shell of what we appreciate from these games anyway. Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding 2 is the hollow shell. Instead, let's look to our indie developers. Let's see how small teams with big ideas are taking the lessons from the Strand-type genre and remixing them even further. I've got 2 games I want to share with you today. One, I've got a hunch you've been playing non-stop, and another I think everyone should have on their wish list. Please, continue doing whatever it is you're doing and settle in for May 2024, the Seattle indie studio Aggro Crab was flying high after their moderately breakout success, Another Crab's Treasure. With a team of only 13 people, studio lead Nick Kamen had taken a pretty big gamble, pouring what had to be a huge amount of time and resources into the project, especially for a studio of their size. Thankfully, the bet paid off, no small part to the witty, clever writing helmed by Kalen Pollock, returning from their debut release Going Under, which is an all-timer. One day we'll circle back. Now with this newfound success seemingly putting the studio on the proverbial indie map, Aggro was ready to jump into something even bigger, something even more expensive. And publishers didn't like that. Aggro had made a splash with Another Crab's Treasure, that's undeniable. Content creators had nothing but kind words for the charming Souls-like. However, their splash wasn't big enough to convince a publisher to cough up the big bucks. 3 to 4 million big bucks, reports say. So, plans shifted, and the studio continued to work independently, eventually landing a spot with Landfall's publishing division, the same crew that put out Totally Accurate Battle Simulator and Cluster Truck. While Landfall provided support where they could, I imagine, maybe they're dicks, they're no Sony. They don't have millions to throw around, and Aggro's games are not the only ones they're worried about. At the same time, Landfall's development division was cooking up their own game, Haste, which is not an all-timer. That one's still cool though. For most intents and purposes, Aggro was back where they started, on their own. And the team didn't seem too happy with what they were working on either. What would have not been the studio's first sequel, but most ambitious project yet, Going Under 2, was announced as no longer in development, in the same breath we learned it ever existed. However, they had another card up their sleeve. Little did we, or they really know, they were holding an ace. Peak was that ace. A cutesy little game about climbing a mountain with your buddies. A $7.99 indie that went on to sell 10 million copies in less than 3 months. 10 million. If you're not a loser and you don't follow gaming statistics, let me give you a little bit of perspective. Clair Obscur, 2025's definitive game of the year, sits at around 6 million copies at the time of writing this. Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Shadows, sits at around 4 million at the time that they reported, and my beloved Death Stranding took 18 months to get as many sales as Peak got in 1 month. That's so fucking many. I give this long preamble not just because I do really like Aggro Crab and I like their story, but because I think Peak is kind of the game I've been waiting for as a Strand type fan. If you think Strand is too niche, you think Strand it's not profitable, Peak is the proof you're wrong. Peak, at its core, is a sandboxy game about climbing. Unlike Death Stranding, it's really about as simple as it sounds here. After your plane crash lands at the base of a tropical mountain, you and up to 3 friends are tasked with climbing to the very top and signaling the rescue helicopter. While easy at first, your trek soon becomes grueling. You contend with heat and snow, bugs and poison, even the ghosts of your fallen brothers, still shit-talking you, even in death.
Whenever you get the chance, you're worthless. You can't climb for shit.
It's your fault we died.
Every item in the latter half of a run becomes a game-changing foothold. Every piece of food hoarded till the last possible moments, every loss in your team making your chances to escape that much worse. So how is it Strand? Well, first off, the goal is clear. This isn't hangout time. We need to climb to that peak and escape. Similarly to Death Stranding, health and stamina severely affect each other here. Peak remixes that even further, making your endurance the main resource you'll be managing. Taking damage from a fall or getting poisoned from a berry doesn't actually hurt you in the same way it would in most other games. Rather, these effects hurt your stamina, making your climb to safety that much more difficult. This is that same redirection of focus Death Stranding implements with its packages. You quickly learn that in Peak, stamina matters above all. So what about the social aspects of Strand? Well, you do have friends, right? In contrast to Kojima's work, Peak isn't trying to create a social experiment. Instead, think of it more like a social sandbox. Death Stranding is made up of a complex algorithm-driven system, working entirely in the background to seamlessly immerse you in an entire world of players. Peak isn't. Peak is just a multiplayer game. Simple as. Just shoot your buddies an invite, and they'll play with you. Hopefully. I call Peak sandboxy, not in the same vein as Minecraft or Terraria, but more so in the spirit of like an actual sandbox. An actual sandbox? What the fuck? I can explain. In a traditional sandbox survival game, the title comes from how a player can take pieces from the world around them to create something new. Like building a castle out of sand. Sandbox. Okay, so then maybe sandbox survival doesn't quite fit for Peak. You aren't using a pickaxe to break through the mountain. You're forced to use wacky tools in conjunction with the terrain itself. Much like our beloved Strand type, a rope or a platform is the difference between making it or not. Unlike Death Stranding, Peak isn't concerned with grounding itself in any particular theme or style. Sure, Stranding has some ridiculous shit, but within the game's ridiculous world, nothing feels too out of place. In Peak, the tools feel far closer to toys than anything else. In fact, I'd argue that if Minecraft and Terraria are sandbox survival, then I would call Peak a toy box survival. This randomly generated mountain is your desktop's equivalent to like a town rug. All the tools here are now your toys, and these items weren't built fairly. They aren't really balanced. They're just here to make you and your buddies laugh. Even the characters themselves are constantly being pushed, knocked, and thrown around, making you, the player, feel like a miniature yourself, trying desperately to escape this toy box. This right here, this is also Strand. Peak understands exactly what type of game it is. It's a game that knows that the journey is the heart of every adventure, and it knows that that journey is made all the more special with your friends at your side, all working together to reach the peak. It's just what the fucking doctor ordered, man. And clearly, about 12 million people thought so too. It almost seems too simple that a game this basic can be as great as it is, and that's not to undercut the technical nuances that make this game sing either. The pretty genius melding of first person with the player models, or the actually just perfect procedural generation. Yet, when I think about Peak and my time with it, I don't think about those things. The same way I don't think about the weird algorithms going on in the background of Death Stranding. I think about the memories I made with my friends. The times we made it with that last bit of rope, or watched each other fall back to the bottom, one after the other. I remember failing, struggling, then succeeding. Together. Now that is some Strand-ass shit right there. Put it on the fucking box. Peak, a certified Strand classic. Okay. Let's try and bring this one home. To harken back to Kobo Abi's stick in the rope story from the start. Can you make a game built on the rope? Of course you can. Kojima Productions proved as much with the very game that gives this subgenre its name. Yet, in the following years, the Strand type seemed to fizzle out, unable to find stable footing in the industry. The AAA remained unwilling to take risks on new ideas, forcing the indie scene to innovate in the spaces major publishers wouldn't dare. Aggro Crab did just that. Whether they meant to or not, Peak blew the doors open on the Strand type genre, proving to a record-breaking audience that games really can be about the journey. We don't need XP or golden loot or battle passes to convince us to play a video game. All we need, at the end of the day, is to take our buddies and go on a big walk. Back during the before times of 2019, an indie studio by the name of House put out their second major project, Untitled Goose Game. Instantly, it was a hit. While Goose Game didn't quite reach the internet-shattering numbers of Peak, whatever it lacked in sales, it made back tenfold in accolades. Critics loved this goose. House scored 4 NAV GTR awards, a BAFTA, and was nominated at the Game Awards for Best Indie. Swear to God, even the goose himself got an award. I've got it right here. That's not a joke. DICE awarded House with not only their Game of the Year, but also an outstanding achievement in character. Look, it says it right there. The goose. It's safe to say, House's circumstances were a stark contrast to how Aggro Crab landed after their own success story. After Another Crab's Treasure, Aggro was forced to readjust and refocus on something smaller, whereas House, post Goose, they were totally free. They didn't have any long-running contracts tying them down, nor any obligation to follow up Untitled Goose Game with a sequel or a spin-off. In the months after launch, Goose Game would get ports to all major platforms, and that would be it. No major updates, no DLC, no sequels, no nothing. House made the game they wanted to make, and they were going to move on to what was next. So what was next? We wouldn't find out until 2023. After over a half of a decade and an entire pandemic's worth of silence, House revealed this at the Game Awards.
Here they are.
Where? Oh, I see them.
Let's go.
That was it. And I was so fucking sold. Now, this is where I start to sound crazy, so I'm sorry. But I've been waiting for a game like this my whole life. A random-ass, immersive, co-op open world where you and your friends just get to explore and dick around. For real, it's like my dream game. And it's a type of game that, especially before peak success, I never really thought we'd get. Yet, here it was. 2 players sitting up on a hill using a pair of binoculars to spot their friend about a mile away, shooting up a flare. Big Walk, by far, is my most anticipated game of 2026. Despite only having 2 trailers, what House has chosen to show so far speaks volumes. Given the pedigree of this studio and the time they've taken, I have full faith that Big Walk will be something special. I feel it in my bones. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to what could be the most wild, out-of-the-box Strand type we've seen yet. Now, I want to preface this section with this. Whoa, tongue twister, you guys catch that? I have not played Big Walk. I'm not some secret spokesperson, nor do I know anything about the game that hasn't been officially revealed. I'm going to be making a few assumptions of mechanics and gameplay systems based off the 2 trailers we've seen, and just keep in mind that that's all speculation. For all we know, Big Walk could come out and be 99% a turn-based JRPG. You know, weirder things have happened. Inscription does exist. With that being said, what is Big Walk? Is it really just walking this time? Yep. That's it. You walk, you see stuff, and you talk. And sometimes there might be a neat puzzle or an intriguing structure, but sometimes there isn't. In a lot of ways, Big Walk is more defined by what type of game it isn't, rather than what it actually is. Sure, it's an open world, but House doesn't want any part of this experience to feel familiar. You don't get a minimap or quest markers, you don't wander upon boss fights or spend time grinding for loot. No XP, no leveling up, nothing of the sort. This is House's version of redirecting player focus, where Kojima and Aggro's games respectively take familiar gameplay mechanics and remix them to get the player on the same page. Big Walk kinda does the opposite. They're not remixing gameplay systems here, they're removing them. From what we can tell, you can't take damage in Big Walk. There doesn't seem to be any hunger or stamina either. This game isn't about surviving this open world. It's only about exploring all of the time. By stripping back what would be unnecessary gameplay filler, the player is left with one thing to do: wander around. During your wandering, you'll find these co-op puzzle areas. With what we can tell from the gameplay trailers, these puzzles seem to be just about anything. Rooms with customization or Wipeout-style obstacle courses, or whatever this yellow tower is. I don't know. I like it though. It's pretty unclear if these reward you with anything or if they're more just something to play around with. I'd assume the latter, considering how Big Walk seems to lack any other kind of progression, but who knows? Maybe you can earn some hats for your guy. In the shots from the trailer where we can see a wide stretch of land, these puzzles seem to be dotted all over. It's unclear how big the map of Big Walk actually is, but from what we can tell, it's pretty dense with these puzzles. Yet, solving puzzles isn't what I imagine you'll be spending the bulk of your time doing. That would of course be bullshitting with your friends. House would call this part of the game talking. I know, groundbreaking. Yet, I I think I'd argue against that. I think I'd argue with the developers about how to properly describe their own video game. That's the kind of person I am. House describes Big Walk as having two major components, walking and talking. I would take that a bit further, describing it more as exploration and communication. I don't rephrase it that way just to make myself sound like an asshole. I actually think House is selling themselves short by making it sound so simple. I say exploration instead of walking for a pretty basic reason. The walking isn't the compelling part to any guy. The walking isn't the compelling part to any game, aside maybe quad. It's what you find and experience on those walks that make them so memorable. Not the literal action of pushing forward on the stick, but finding immersion in the expedition you've set yourself. I think the same can be said when it comes to talking in Big Walk. Sure, you'll be talking during your play session, a whole lot I imagine, yet I'd be willing to bet that the talking part, specifically, won't be your most memorable. You can talk to your friends whenever you want, who cares? Instead, it's the moments where you can't talk, where things really start to get interesting. How do you find your way back to your team after falling down a cliff? What items and tools can you use to make yourself known, or help a friend you know is missing but can't find? How do you communicate through something like bulletproof glass? This is what I mean when I say communication. It's not just talking, or walking for that matter. It's the elements of friction that the walking and the talking help make happen that are so compelling. Much like Stranding and Peak, Big Walk seems to thrive in these moments of friction. It delights in these moments of struggle or confusion because it knows and trusts the player to solve the gameplay puzzle for themselves. That friction, the struggle, the tension, the comedy, the adventure, the allies, the enemies, the weird and the strange, all of it is Strand. I started writing this video because I thought I knew what Strand was, not just to me, but to Hideo Kojima. I know, my fucking hubris. I thought Strand was just meaningful walking. Yet, as I went searching for more Strand types, most of the meaningful connections I had weren't in walking simulator games at all. Every single time I found that magic again, it was somewhere totally different than Kojima Productions' work. I didn't even have time to talk about the labyrinthine worlds of Yumi Tuki, or the beautifully wordless connection in Children of the Light. These games are Strand, the same way Peak and Death Stranding are Strand, the same way Dragon's Dogma is Strand, or Minecraft is Strand, or Roblox 2-player obby is Strand. Maybe we're starting to push it now. My point is, I don't think Strand is a genre. It's not something that can be neatly labeled or recreated, even by Kojima, the quote father of Strand himself, and that's because he's not. If Strand isn't a genre, then it's a feeling. It's a one-of-a-kind connection with a piece of art. A piece of art that needs to be a video game. Nobody is the creator of that feeling. Nobody but yourself. Have I lost the plot? Probably. So did Kojima, when he decided to risk an entire AAA studio on his vision of Norman Reedus walking around and pissing off cliffs. So did Aggro Crab, when they canceled their roguelike sequel for a game about marshmallows climbing a hill. So did House with whatever the fuck Big Walk even actually is. The Strand type isn't just about connecting or adventuring, not entirely. Strand is about losing the plot. It's about getting lost so far in the plot that you couldn't even imagine this game being anything other than the work of art that it is. You couldn't even imagine this being anything other than a video game. You guys both unconscious. I can see that you're mad right now. And
No, I'm not just mad, I'm fuming. I'm pissed. You know what you could have done? You know what you could have done, bro? You're gonna fucking die. I'm so pissed, dude. Get on the track. What are we doing? This is amateur hour. The cloud rises and you're jumping in the waterfall? What's wrong with you, bro?
The genius melding of...
Hey, Mister.
What's up, mister?
What's up, Mister? You got some quick Discord time? I want to show you something.
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of recording this script right now. Give me like 10 minutes.
Oh, are you still recording? Am I gonna make the cut?
You're gonna make the cut, bro. I didn't want to stop
Fuck
it.
yeah, dude. Death Stranding's boring as shit. Yeah. What do you need me to say?
Could you just say, fuck you, coffin skateboard?
Coffin skateboard. Ah, fuck you, coffin skateboard. Is that good? Is that good one right there?
Yeah, no, that was fucking great, man.
Alright, there you go. You got your one take.
Thank you, man. We did it in a oneer.